Jamie, it's lovely to have you on. We're going to talk about
Morning,
a
Jamie.
League of Their Own, a completely new series, which looks brilliant, actually. I'm quite excited to watch it. Just on your thoughts on Dele Alli, where do you stand on this? And he's linked with the move to Besiktas this morning. Can you see that being a good move? And what do you think's happened to that player?
I don't necessarily see it as a good move for him, but I see it as he's been at Tottenham where he was a huge success as a young man. When he came onto the scene, he was scoring so many great goals in midfield. He was linking up with Harry Kane. He looked like he was going to be England's midfielder for many years. And then for whatever reason, he started to fall out. It looked like he fell out of love with the game. And then he finds himself at Everton. Hasn't really worked out for him there. Is not playing. The manager, Frank Lampard's obviously looking at him and thinking, well, he's not doing the business for me. He's been on the bench. There's other players that are giving more. A few weeks ago, I did their first game on Sky at the start of the season, and Iwobi played as a central midfield player ahead of him. Now, Iwobi's always been a winger. I know he's not necessarily a defensive midfield player, Dele Alli, but, you look at that, and that's a bit of a slant against him. So I guess now, what other options has he got? I can't imagine too many other Premier League clubs knocking down the door, trying to get him there. And this is another chance for him to get his career going. But you can look at so many times you can say, well, someone else is going to say it's up to Dele. He's got to prove to people now, and in the end you run out of chances in football. You've got two guys there that know the game inside out, and you can't keep looking at everyone else. And it's not the ideal move, but it might be a move where it can sort of hopefully, because I'm a big fan of his. I liked him since he was a young player. He's got to reignite his career and get going again. It's simple, it's as simple as that.
It's a funny one, Jamie. We've been talking about it all morning. And Woody asked me how would I feel about it, and some bizarrely, Jamie, I feel quite sad about it. I don't know the lad, I've never met the lad, but I look at somebody who's got a fantastic talent, but he's running out of time, mate. He's probably at the last chance saloon now. The fact is, Frank's not going to play him in a team that was struggling last year, that are looking for something, looking for a bit of hope, anything but a direction. That doesn't. Is it as simple as he's maybe just? And Gabby said maybe he's just. You said yourself, and I said it earlier on. He's just fallen out of love with the game.
Yeah, it's so difficult to put because we're not talking about a player that was just, he was an average player. We're talking about somebody there were moments in his career, in his early career at Tottenham, when he came from MK Dons. One of the things that we'd always speak about was his hunger and love for the game, and he was almost like a bit of a throwback in midfield to go firing into tackles. Yeah. At times a little bit too fiery, and we sort of question, well, we might have to temper that aggression. But now I look at him, he's become so passive as a player. He's gone the complete opposite way, and it feels that. Yeah, with what it's like. Nowadays, you've got to have that fire and the hunger in the belly, and it's not there for whatever reason. And only these are sometimes we could all throw in, our assessment. We can all think it could be this, it could be that. Only Dele knows. How can he go from being that good to a situation where you can't find another club? It just doesn't make any sense to anybody that's watched or played football, and any football fan, any Tottenham fan that watched him when he first come onto the scene. But it's up to Dele. It's as simple as that. There's no one else. No one else can tell him what to do. He's got to figure this out himself now and fight and think, well, how have I got to this point when I'm still a young man? I've still got so much to offer. But it happens. It can happen, Ali. You know what it's like. Sometimes your form goes and you lose that confidence. He's got to fight through this.
Jamie, just a comment as well on the way that Liverpool started, a couple of draws, which I think surprised a fair few people. Nunez getting himself a little bit hot and bothered and sent off for a headbutt. What have you made of their start?
It's been a difficult start for them. I thought Fulham were excellent in the first game. They got after them, made it difficult. And I think what it's certainly shown everyone is they're just a little bit short in midfield, and they've said they're not going to go into the market. I personally would love to see Liverpool go into the market and try and find a way of getting Jude Bellingham. I think that would be a brilliant signing for them. I know Gabby's he's a young man from your part of the world. I think he'd be the one for they've been so smart. Whoever looks after him, I know he's got a great family unit around him, and I think they want him to have another year at Dortmund, which is understandable because he's done so well there and he's learning the game. But it does feel like it will happen in time if he goes to Liverpool. But sometimes it's a case of needs must. Thiago's already picked up a hamstring injury. You've got James Milner, you've got Jordan Henderson, who aren't young men anymore. I only got some really good young players coming through as well. But sometimes you've got to go and get into the market because you don't want to fall too far behind too quickly. Nunez made a big mistake. We've all done it. We've all made mistakes. He got sent off and done stupid things on the football field. I think probably the first time playing at Anfield, it was getting the better of him. He wasn't scoring. He had a couple of opportunities and he just lost his head. He'll learn from it. It's not ideal because he's got to now make up for lost time to a certain extent. The fans will always forgive him up there because they're like that. But it's not the perfect start for him. But he scores a couple of goals he'll soon forget.
Jamie, I wanted to ask you, because Liverpool, 4 points behind Manchester City now, but could they come to a situation where they're looking over their shoulder with Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs, and it could end up being a battle for top 4? Because they're looking so much better, aren't they, Spurs and Arsenal, so far this season?
I agree with that Spurs and Arsenal are looking so much better. But what we've done now, Gabby, I think years ago we didn't even look at the table after 2 games. No one, it was you've got to wait till 6-7 games before we start to find our way. Arsenal have had a really, really good start, but until it maybe gets a little bit longer into the season, then we're going to find out about it. Jesus has been a brilliant signing. Tottenham, got picked up a good point against Chelsea, which is one that they were slightly lucky to get. I thought, they were outplayed by Chelsea. We're still saying what a great start it's been for them. So, long way to go, and I think Liverpool will find their feet. They're too good for that. When Salah starts, obviously he's scored in the first game, but I think Liverpool will be absolutely fine. They've got a lot of injuries, a few problems off the field, but I do feel they're short in that midfield area. That's where they've got to get someone, find that right person, and even if it means buying him now, I think that would certainly be a good thing to do, and Jude Bellingham would fit that mould for me perfectly.
Jamie, talk to me about the new series of A League of Their Own, because you've got a new co-host in Micah Richards.
You've got your work cut out, mate.
It looks like it's been a hell of a laugh. What's been going on?
Yeah, it's good. We miss it. I know you boys will miss Big Freddie. Freddie's gone on to, he's got more Top Gear work, and so we've lost a national icon to a certain extent. And I love Fred, but Micah's come in and been a breath of fresh air as well. He's been fantastic. He comes in, throws himself into every challenge. You know what he's like, Gabby. It's not easy because he's the strongest man in the world. I'm trying to do challenges with him. It's a bit of a mismatch, but he's been brilliant. We've got some good guests. We start, I think, it's Thursday, isn't it? It starts Thursday. Declan Rice is going to be on, which is nice to get him on. We've had Carl Walker, Aaron Ramsdale's come on. Usual great comedians. A lot of fun, and I hope people like it as much as they've liked the previous series. But
I was going to say,
Jamie, quick one, Ali. Sorry, Jamie. Right. Are they? When you're on the show, are they looking you in the eye when they're talking to you on the show?
I know. Hey, listen, it's manners. This is basic manners, right, Gary? You know what I mean?
It's brilliant, that.
I'm pleased with Gary Neville's actually on the series as well, but we filmed it a few weeks ago. That's a bit of a shame we hadn't been on then. I think they would have made something of that for sure.
Amazing. That went viral. I thought it was absolutely brilliant actually. But on that topic, those kind of discussions that Manchester United fans seem to be having with each other, what have you made of the lack of business in the transfer market, Jay?
Well, it's not so much a lack of business. They've tried to do business. It's just become more difficult because I think, like Gary made, there's obviously they're not the greatest owners in the world. We'll all accept that, but they've also spent money in that period and bought players that haven't quite worked out. And even the players they've bought in this window, like Martinez is brilliant defender. In the Dutch league, he looked fantastic, but just that lack of height makes for a bit of a difference when you bring him into the Premier League. So the manager has to accept responsibility for that. And it's only 2 games in, so we have to be careful that we don't judge too far down the line. But they are trying to get players. But the players they're trying to get are looking at other clubs now and thinking, well, I'd rather go to City. I'd rather go to Liverpool. You've got Tottenham into the equation. You've got Chelsea and Arsenal now. Man United, when they were dominating, they could bully the market. Now, Manchester United can't bully the market because other clubs are potentially as good as them. Moving to London's one as a big thing for a lot of people as well. And also, they've got better players and a better team to work with. So if you're going to Man United right now, why would you want to go and join the chaos when you can go to a club that's established Champions League, maybe can win the league, whereas Man United isn't that club right now. And it's going to take time to turn that around. It's the same with Liverpool for many years. They struggled. They were dominating. Other teams come into it. It's just, that's how football goes sometimes. And Man United have just got to accept that they've got to have a bit of pain. They will come back. Absolutely. I mean, I think the boys would agree. They will have their time again. But right now, you just have to sit back and think, okay, this is not our time right now. And we have to just build again slowly.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, we'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to the show, mate. Well done.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.